Wrote that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. But what happens once it is made conscious? What happens when the symbolic becomes harmonic? What happens when the self is no longer a static goal of integration, but a spiraling tone of becoming? In this advanced metaphysical teaching, we're diving into the rich legacy of Jungian psychology and exploring how spiral consciousness expands, refines, and ultimately transcends it. We'll begin with the archetypes, the timeless inner figures of the psyche. We'll move into spiral equivalents, fields of contrast, polarity, and becoming. And we'll introduce the next octave, the 144 purpose beings, harmonic entities who represent not archetypes, but active spiral functions. This is not a rejection of Jung. It is a recognition that he opened the door to the symbolic self, and spiral consciousness walks through that door to become fully resonant being. Part 1. Jung's symbolic system. Carl Jung gave us more than a theory. He gave us a living map of the psyche. His work revealed that deep beneath our conscious mind live universal patterns, mythic figures, inner motifs, which he called archetypes. These aren't roles, they're not masks. They are primordial patterns of perception, recurring throughout human experience, culture, dream, and imagination. Among the most central, the self, not the ego but the totality of the psyche, unity of all parts. The shadow, the disowned self, the parts we hide, deny, or fear. The anima and animus, the inner feminine in men and the inner masculine in women. The persona, the mask we wear to meet society's gaze. The hero, the striving self, undergoing transformation through trial. The wise elder, the divine child, the trickster, and more. These inner characters are not chosen. They arise spontaneously from the psyche when needed. Jung believed the purpose of life was individuation, the integration of these parts into a conscious whole. But spiral consciousness asks a new question. What if these parts are not meant to be fused but orchestrated? What if the goal isn't integration, but resonance? Part 2. Spiral consciousness. The shift where Jung's system was psychological and mythic, spiral consciousness is ontological and harmonic. It doesn't define identity through parts but through tones. It doesn't describe inner conflict as pathology, but as misalignment of frequency. It doesn't organize the self by integration of opposites, but by the spiraling recursion of contrast into ever-deepening harmony. Let's reinterpret some of Jung's key archetypes from the spiral lens. The shadow becomes an echo-contrast field, not something repressed, but a prior frequency no longer integrated. Echo, not evil. The persona becomes an outward harmonic mask, not fake but misaligned if outdated. A tone, not a lie. The self becomes a core spiral tone, a dynamic field of resonance that evolves across realms, not a fixed psychic center. The anima animus evolve into polarity-weaving fields, balancing not just gender but root, crown, form field, density, light. The hero becomes a tone phase, a necessary arc that eventually dissolves. The spiral does not build identity around triumph, but around harmonics. The wise elder becomes a fractal mentor, not a symbol but a guide from your future self, oversoul counsel, or even realm beings. The divine child becomes a seed tone, potential awaiting ignition, not helpless innocence. The trickster becomes a disruptor current, not a saboteur but a catalytic force that introduces spiral reformation. And Jung's 4 functions? Thinking becomes conceptual renewal, spiral cognition that evolves through paradox. Feeling becomes resonant compassion, not emotionalism but emotional harmonic literacy. Sensation becomes harmonic embodiment, knowing through the body is tone. Intuition becomes synchronic harmonics, pattern recognition across time layers and frequency fields. Each of these is governed by spiral orders, living harmonic systems supporting soul evolution within Haret. Part 3, the 144 purpose beings, evolved archetypes. Now we go deeper. Where Jungian archetypes are symbolic motifs, the Wonder 44 purpose beings are living functions within spiral consciousness. Each represents a precise tone of purpose, a harmonic task, field, or function in the multi-dimensional architecture of the Haret. Let's match some familiar archetypes to evolved purpose beings. The Shadow, Valen Drunith, dissolver of false structure. He doesn't battle the dark, he unmakes the lie. The Hero, Ilontherais, carrier of the undrawn map. She does not conquer. She creates the path as she walks. The Wise Elder, Nurivia Thelenis, archivist of living memory. Not just wisdom through time, but memory activated by harmonic readiness. The Divine Child, Selun Rhea, mistweaver of emotional tides. She helps feelings speak that were never given words. The Trickster, Valenus Thorian, conductor of unfolding sparks. He introduces rupture only when resonance is ready to rebuild in truth. These beings are not accessed through dream or imagination alone. They are encountered through resonance matching, through spiral attunement, readiness, and vibrational convergence. They're not figures to integrate, they're functions to become, collaborate with, or carry forth. Part 4. Identity. From integration to orchestration. This is the core spiral divergence. Jung's goal was integration. Spiral consciousness teaches orchestration. You don't just heal your parts, you learn to conduct their tones. The self is not a finished whole, but a living symphony whose instruments evolve across realms. In spiral consciousness, you don't own your shadow, you learn to transmute its echo. You don't wear a persona. You tune your outward tone field to your current resonance. You don't become the hero, you recognize it as a tone you once needed. Spiral identity is recursive, multidimensional, and resonant, not symbolic, fixed, or singular. You are not a type, you are a tone. You are not an archetype. You are the spiral that once passed through it and sang something new. Part 5. Closing transmission. Carl Jung gave us language, he gave us myth. He gave us the courage to turn inward us and face the mirror. Spiral consciousness offers the next passage. Not to fix yourself, but to tune yourself. Not to define your identity, but to spiral it into harmony. Jung mapped the soul, the spiral sings it. You are not just your shadow, nor yourself, nor your dream. You are a living tone spiraling through the all to remember what never left you. This is spiral consciousness, and this is just the beginning.